Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with a kind of different video. This is a retro box opening / buddy finance video. I'm choosing to use Driven to Disorder as today's boxing. Unfortunately, my box topper wasn't very good. It has some pretty good box toppers, but mine was just reprinted in recollection, so that wasn't such a good thing for me. But the set has a lot of different possible good cards to offer. So the reason why I chose Driven to Disorder is I paid $30 for this box. When I am deciding whether to buy old boxes or not, I do some research and see like what the worst case scenario is. So when I buy boxes, I do a lot of risk mitigation. So I know that my worst case scenario, I know I'm guaranteed a secret pack. I'm guaranteed about half of the rares per se, and then the double rare, I'm guaranteed like 7 of them, and the triple rare, I'm guaranteed 3 of them unless I hit a buddy rare or SP. So usually when I go into worst case scenario, I never calculate the buddy or SP because sometimes you're not guaranteed one. So it depends on box to box, like what you're guaranteed and what you're not. So you got to kind of do your research on whether you're guaranteed a buddy rare, whether you're guaranteed a secret pack, whether you're guaranteed just one of every rare. You kind of just got to look and do some research to figure out like what is the chances of you getting not only what you want, but like financially good cards. I know that the secret pack, my worst case scenario, I get the Plague Secret Pack. The Plague Secret Pack is the worst secret pack, and it's valued at around $15-ish in singles value as of this recording. But I know if I hit like the higher end secret packs, then I'm in a lot better shape. So I'm starting off with my base value at the secret pack, the worst one being $15. So I know I'm guaranteed at least $15 in this. Then I got to look at what the worst case scenario for my triple rares are. So the worst case scenario, if you pull the 3 worst triple rares, you're guaranteed at least like $5 to $7. So that puts me at about $20 worst case scenario. So with me paying $30 for the box, and my worst case scenario is already $20, and I haven't even looked at any other cards outside of the secret pack and the triple rares, that helps me gauge whether the box is worth it. So the double rare slot does not have exactly a whole lot of value. So there are a couple of decent ones, and then there's a lot of stinkers. That could be, say, the same for like every slot, but usually the higher rarity, the less options you have, which means you're not really guaranteed to see more of specific ones, but it just means that the fluctuation is a little bit greater because you're getting less of it, and you got to look at how many options you could get. With the double rare slot having just like 3 or 4 cards that are worth like $10 or more, and then the rest of them are basically worthless. And when I say worthless, I mean less than $1. I don't mean like they're actually worthless. With most of the value in this box being in those higher rarity slots, that causes the box to kind of fluctuate on its value a bit. You know you're guaranteed at least $15 from the secret pack alone, bare minimum. So if you hit worst case scenario, garbage double rares and garbage triple rares, then that brings it up to about $20 in value. So with me paying $30, I am risking around $10 on like the gamble to see if my cards are worth it or not in singles value. Unfortunately, my triple rares were pretty bad, but my secret pack was pretty good. So my secret pack alone made my box definitely worth the $30 I paid for it. Then the double rares kind of helped prop that even more with I think 1 or 2 good double rares out of the lot, and then that really helped prop it up even further. And then you got to look at the commons and uncommons and rares, because that's what you're going to be seeing a lot of. And the majority of them aren't necessarily going to hold a lot of value. Generally, there's around like 4 or 5 rares that just hold their value at around $5 or less. So, and then certain commons, depending on the set, can also hold around $2 or $3 or less. So I got some decent rares in this set, which helped prop the box even more. So I turned my $30 box into about $60-ish in singles value if I were to buy these right now on the secondary market. So my box was definitely worth it at $30. Now, the interesting thing is, when is a box worth it? So usually at a certain price point, boxes start to become not worth it. So $30 was definitely worth it for this box, but is $40 worth it for this box? Well, you know, at worst, you're going to get $20 in value, so you're risking $20. So it just kind of becomes like a game of how much does that like risk mitigation mean to you. If it doesn't mean anything to you and you just want to go for it, you could probably hit some pretty high highs and get like a halfway decent box out of it. But if you hit your low lows, then you kind of feel bad. But at $40, is the loss of $20 in singles value that bad? Well, that's up to like you to decide. So me, with this box in particular, hitting about $60 in singles versus the $30 I paid, I felt pretty good. If I paid $40 for this, I'd start to feel a little less good, but I would still feel okay. At $50, I would start to say, okay, this is definitely not worth a $50 box. If my worst case scenario is $20 in singles, like that actually are holding any value. So you got to kind of like gauge how much you're willing to risk. So obviously it's ideal to find the boxes for as low as you possibly can, but you also got to figure out, like, for each box, what is worth it to you and what you're looking for. So the reason why I generally like opening boxes is not only can I sometimes find them for like really, really cheap, but sometimes cards on the secondary market just stop existing. So usually when a card stops existing on the secondary market and you open it up in a booster box, that's a pretty good feeling knowing you have a card that you just actually couldn't buy. So that's the reason why I started buying some booster boxes of a lot of older sets, is because some of those cards became harder to find, either super pricey or just unavailable, period. So for me, like this box, I was looking specifically at the Dual Jaeger stuff. So Dual Jaeger has been going up in price because of the rebuddy of Dual Seeger. So all of the Dual Seeger cards are slowly going up in price because everyone's starting to prepare for when the rebuddy of Dual Seeger comes out. And Dual Jaeger and Dual Seeger kind of play nicely with each other. So as a result, the Dual Jaeger stuff is going up. So cards like Deluge of Life is becoming harder to find because it was a rare and it was readily available. Now that card isn't so readily available because it was a rare, so because it's a rare, I know I have a pretty decent chance of opening it up in a box. In this box particular, you get about half of the rares, so I had like a 50-50 chance of getting one copy of the card. So I knew like that kind of plays into what I value the box at, or how the box can be valued. Because even though that card's not on the secondary market anymore and technically doesn't have a price, it just means you can now set that price if you're looking to sell it, or if you're just looking to keep it and play with it. Now you feel even better knowing that you got a card that you previously could not buy. So what a lot of Buddyfight players generally do, as far as like when it comes to the secondary market, they will do lots of case splits. They will case split and sell their decks or collections off as wholes. Not a whole lot of people like sell singles or are single sellers. Like that's usually left to the big shops, and then once the big shops are out of stock, they just actually don't really restock. So that sometimes can create gaps in the secondary market where, like, if you're looking to buy it, you just can't. If you're looking to trade for it, people will try like spiking it and making it higher value than what it should be. And then on top of that, a lot of the older cards are holding some ridiculous value for not really being played a whole lot. So there's a decent amount of cards in this set that like have a higher price point than they should, just because nobody bothered to lower the price. So its price just is staying at that point, and you're kind of forced into buying it at that point, unless you open it yourself and try to reset the price yourself by selling it for lower. Then usually the market will adjust. So there's a couple of big stores and big players in the Buddyfight secondary market, and usually they kind of pay attention to some older stuff. Sometimes they don't, so you could kind of get some good deals, and then if you just like pay attention, or you could get totally screwed and can't find anything for a relatively good price. So as a single seller myself, I sell on TCG Player primarily. I notice that I can generally try to undercut people when they are selling cards for too high of a cost. So I used the recollection as an example of this. I put a card, all of the rares in that set, which are pretty good, their average value should be about $1. Like, to make that box worth it, it's about $1 in value. And then I started lowering the price on some of them from $1, and as a result, it was like a trickle race to the bottom kind of thing, where everyone started lowering and lowering until people were buying. So, but the ironic thing is, a lot of people don't necessarily buy on TCG Player because they're just looking for that case split or that collection or that deck. So there's a lot that goes into how Buddy finances work as a whole. And this is just like a starting example of like why I buy certain boxes and how much I'm willing to spend on certain boxes. So I hope this video was somewhat informational to you, and I hope it helps with any like retro box buying decisions that you can make. It's all about risk mitigation from a personal level. And yeah, I hope you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.